booze, hooch, cracking open a cold one with the boys, Southern comfort. Whatever way you want to slice it, alcohol is a big part of our lives and culture. And who hasn't gone a little overboard at times? But what's actually happening under the hood when you get drunk? And what consequences might this have for you down the road? Two very different but oddly similar people will help us find out. Meet Jake, a lively college student who loves socializing, and David, a middle-aged man with years of experience in self-medicating through life's ups and downs. Their experiences will shed light on both the short-term and long-term effects of heavy drinking. Jake is your typical college student, keen on making the most of his university years. He's often found at parties and social gatherings where alcohol is a frequent companion. His story will illustrate the immediate short-term effects of excessive alcohol use, from impaired judgment to the risk of blackouts. Jake's experiences at college parties, typical for many young adults, will provide a backdrop to understand how alcohol can acutely affect the body and mind. On the other side, we have David, a seasoned professional with a long history of navigating the highs and lows of life, including a complicated relationship with alcohol. David's journey will explore the long-term consequences of prolonged alcohol use, such as liver damage, increased risk of heart disease, and potential cognitive decline. His story represents a common scenario for many individuals who have experienced years of alcohol consumption and are now facing its cumulative effects. So let's start with Jake. Here he is on a typical Friday night. The evening kicks off with a college party. The keg is tapped, the liquor is flowing, and the conversation is lively. As he consumes alcohol, the packed environment becomes more exhilarating, and his inhibitions begin to lower. Science accounts for this change. Alcohol impairs the prefrontal cortex of the brain, which is responsible for judgment and decision-making. For Jake, this means his ability to assess risks and foresee consequences is significantly diminished. He starts engaging in behaviors he wouldn't normally consider. These might be non-harmful, like the way he's able to feel looser and freer on the dance floor. But they also might be riskier, like accepting dangerous dares from friends. As the party progresses, Jake's decision-making skills continue to deteriorate. He finds himself in situations that, while under the influence, seem fun and harmless, but are actually pretty risky. This is a direct reflection of findings from research that emphasize how alcohol consumption leads to increased risk-taking. Jake, now less aware of the potential dangers, becomes more prone to accidents and injuries, a common issue in alcohol-fueled settings. Meanwhile, Jake's friends, who are also drinking, start to notice his erratic behavior. They see him taking risks that are out of character, illustrating the social ripple effect of alcohol's impact on judgment. This scenario is supported by research showing that alcohol not only affects individual behavior, but can also alter dynamics within a group, leading to a collective increase in risk-taking activities. As the night launches forward, Jake's alcohol consumption continues to increase. Gradually, he begins to feel the effects. His movements are no longer as coordinated, and his balance is off. This is a direct result of alcohol's impact on the cerebellum, the part of the brain responsible for motor control. Research demonstrates how alcohol depresses the nervous system, leading to a decrease in motor coordination. For Jake, this means tasks that require fine motor skills, like texting or even walking straight, become challenging. As Jake tries to navigate through the crowded party, his difficulty with balance becomes more apparent. The rooms are packed, with wall-to-wall people, and he bumps into them left and right. At one point, he stumbles into the keg. Despite his unsteady gait and impaired coordination, Jake insists on keeping up with his friends on the dance floor. However, his dancing is clumsy, and he struggles to keep up with the rhythm. This scenario is a classic example of how alcohol can give individuals a false sense of confidence in their abilities, masking their physical limitations. Studies show that while individuals might feel more confident in their motor skills, their actual performance is significantly impaired under the influence of alcohol. As the night wears on, Jake's motor skills deteriorate further. He finds it increasingly difficult to perform simple tasks, such as opening a bottle or picking up his phone. This progression aligns with scientific findings that note that the impairment of motor skills intensifies with higher levels of alcohol consumption. At one point, Jake attempts to navigate a set of stairs, a task that proves too challenging in his current state. His stumble and near fall are a stark reminder of the dangers posed by alcohol-induced impairment of motor skills. Fortunately, his friends are there to assist him, preventing a potential accident. However, as the night reaches its peak, Jake decides to climb onto a table to dance, ignoring the potential danger. This decision, fueled by his impaired judgment, results in a fall. This incident is a prime example of research linking alcohol consumption with an increased likelihood of injury due to poor decision-making and physical impairment. In the emergency room, Jake is treated for minor injuries. The medical staff explains to him how alcohol impairs the brain's ability to make safe decisions, a lesson that Jake takes to heart. This experience becomes a turning point for him, highlighting the immediate and potentially serious consequences of impaired judgment due to alcohol consumption. The next day, Jake will reflect on the events of the party. He'll realize how his behavior could have led to a more severe consequence. This reflection is an important process in understanding the risks associated with alcohol use, particularly for young adults who are still developing their decision-making skills. While alcohol might temporarily enhance your mood, it significantly compromises physical coordination and motor control, posing risks to both the imbibing individual and those around them. Let's get back to the night of the party to look at a few more side effects of Jake's alcohol intake. As Jake continues to take shots and chug beers, his speech starts to slur, and he begins to exhibit signs of confusion. This change is a direct consequence of alcohol's depressive effect on the central nervous system, which slows down cognitive functions and affects the brain's ability to process language. Studies explain that alcohol impairs the areas of the brain involved in speech production, leading to slurred speech, a common indicator of intoxication. Jake's friends notice the change in his speech and his difficulty in forming coherent sentences. The symptom is not just embarrassing, it is also a clear sign of the level of alcohol impairment. Research indicates that slurred speech is often one of the first noticeable signs of alcohol's impact on the brain's speech centers. For Jake, this manifests as a struggle to communicate effectively, a problem that becomes increasingly apparent as the night progresses. Along with slurred speech, Jake begins to experience confusion. When his friends are explaining the rules of a drinking game, he finds it difficult to follow the conversation. This cognitive impairment is a result of alcohol's effect on the brain's ability to process and interpret information. According to research, alcohol's consumption, especially in excessive amounts, can lead to a decrease in cognitive processing speed and a diminished ability to focus and understand complex information. Jake's confusion is not limited to verbal communication. He also shows signs of disorientation, eventually having trouble remembering where he is and how he got there. This is consistent with scientific findings, which note that alcohol can impair short-term memory and spatial orientation, contributing to a state of confusion and disorientation in intoxicated individuals. As the party winds down, Jake begins feeling increasingly nauseous. This unpleasant sensation soon escalates to vomiting, a common reaction to excessive alcohol consumption. Alcohol irritates the stomach lining and increases the production of stomach acid, which can lead to feelings of nausea. Vomiting is actually the body's way of expelling the irritant, in this case, the excess alcohol. The nausea and vomiting Jake experiences are more than just immediate discomforts, they're signs of alcohol poisoning, a potentially dangerous condition. As noted in the research, alcohol poisoning occurs when the amount of alcohol in the bloodstream reaches toxic levels, overwhelming the body's ability to process it. The symptoms, including nausea and vomiting, serve as a warning that the body is struggling to cope with the amount of alcohol ingested. Jake's situation highlights the importance of understanding the body's limits when it comes to alcohol consumption. While some vomiting after drinking might seem common in social situations, the truth is it is a serious indicator that the body is dealing with more alcohol than it can handle. This is further emphasized in studies showing how repeated episodes of alcohol-induced vomiting can lead to long-term damage of the esophagus and stomach. As Jake recovers from the immediate effects of his nausea, he faces the challenge of rehydrating and replenishing the nutrients lost through vomiting. Alcohol is a diuretic, and the act of vomiting exacerbates the body's dehydration. Many people forget the need for proper hydration and electrolyte balance after episodes of heavy drinking and vomiting. Replenishing fluids can help individuals to avoid further complications. Jake's experiences serve as a cautionary tale about the risks of excessive alcohol consumption and the importance of listening to one's body. Nausea and vomiting are not just minor side effects of a night of drinking. They are serious symptoms that should not be ignored or taken lightly. The morning after the party, Jake wakes up with a foggy memory of the previous night's events. He experiences what is known as an alcohol-induced blackout, a phenomenon characterized by a loss of memory for events that occurred while heavily intoxicated. During a blackout, alcohol disrupts the brain's ability to form new long-term memories. While Jake was conscious and active during the party, his brain was unable to retain new memories due to the high levels of alcohol in his system. Blackouts are particularly concerning because they indicate a high level of alcohol intoxication, which can have serious consequences. Studies show that blackouts are often associated with riskier behaviors and poorer decision-making. For Jake, this means that he may have engaged in activities or made choices during the party that he cannot remember, potentially putting himself or others at risk. As Jake tries to piece together the events of the night, he realizes there are significant gaps in his memory. He relies on his friends to fill in all the details, which include moments he is not proud of, like falling off that table while dancing. This reliance on others for information about his own actions is a sobering experience for Jake, highlighting the vulnerability that comes with alcohol-induced blackouts. The experience of a blackout is a clear indicator that Jake's alcohol consumption exceeded safe limits. In fact, blackouts are more likely to occur when alcohol is consumed rapidly, causing a sharp rise in blood alcohol concentration. For Jake, this was likely the result of drinking large quantities of alcohol in a short period. Jake's encounters with blackouts also raise concerns about the potential impact on his brain health. Consistent heavy drinking and resultant blackouts can lead to long-term changes in brain function. Repeated episodes can impair cognitive abilities and memories, even while sober. The morning after the party, Jake wakes up feeling the classic symptoms of a hangover: headache, nausea, fatigue, and an overwhelming sense of dehydration. These symptoms are the body's response to the after effects of excessive alcohol consumption. Research shows that hangovers are partly caused by dehydration, as alcohol is a diuretic, leading to increased urine production and consequently loss of fluids and electrolytes. Jake's pounding headache is a direct result of this dehydration, as well as the dilation of blood vessels in the brain caused by alcohol. Alcohol-induced vasodilation combined with dehydration can lead to severe headaches, a common complaint during hangovers. For Jake, the pain is debilitating, making it difficult to focus on anything else. The nausea Jake feels is also a common hangover symptom. Alcohol irritates the stomach lining and increases the production of stomach acid, leading to feelings of nausea and sometimes continued vomiting. The gastric distress is a typical consequence of heavy drinking, adding to the discomfort of the hangover. Fatigue is yet another common hallmark of Jake's hangover. Despite sleeping for several hours, he wakes up feeling exhausted. Alcohol totally disrupts normal sleep patterns, reducing the quality of sleep and leading to feelings of fatigue the next day. For Jake, this means that even though he spent many hours in bed, his body and mind do not feel rested. What other gifts does this hangover bestow? Jake also experiences a dry mouth and an intense thirst, further signs of dehydration. This is partly because alcohol inhibits the production of the hormone vasopressin, which helps regulate the body's water balance. This inhibition leads to increased urine production and dehydration. For Jake, rehydrating becomes a priority as he tries to recover from the hangover, which takes up most of his day. Jake's experience with a hangover illustrates the wide range of physical discomforts and disruptions caused by excessive alcohol consumption. It serves as a reminder of the importance of moderation and the need to be aware of alcohol's powerful effects on the body. Jake's story highlights the fact that while alcohol might be a common feature in social settings, its after effects can significantly impact one's health and well-being. So we've discussed many of the acute or immediate effects of alcohol. Ready to move on to some of the longer-term effects? So let's meet David, a middle-aged man who's been consuming alcohol regularly for years. Sadly, David has recently been diagnosed with liver damage, a direct consequence of his long-term drinking habits. The liver, responsible for breaking down and removing harmful substances, including alcohol, can become overwhelmed by excessive and prolonged alcohol consumption. Scientific research explains that chronic alcohol use can lead to various forms of liver disease, including fatty liver, alcoholic hepatitis, and cirrhosis. David's diagnosis is a wake-up call, highlighting the serious health consequences of long-term heavy drinking. David's condition began with fatty liver, a stage where fat starts to accumulate in liver cells. Initially, this condition was asymptomatic, so David was unaware of the developing problem. But fatty liver is often the first stage of alcohol-related liver disease, and it can progress to more severe forms if alcohol consumption continues. For David, this progression went unnoticed until symptoms started to appear. As David's condition progressed to alcoholic hepatitis, he began to experience symptoms like jaundice, abdominal pain, and fatigue. Alcoholic hepatitis is an inflammation of the liver. This condition can be severe and is often a precursor to cirrhosis, which is the final and irreversible stage of alcohol-related liver disease. Cirrhosis, the stage David is currently facing, is characterized by scarring of the liver tissue, which impairs the liver's ability to function effectively. This scarring is the result of long-term continuous damage to the liver. For David, this diagnosis means facing the reality that his liver can no longer regenerate and repair itself as it once could. The impact of liver disease extends beyond the liver itself, David learns from his doctor that complications can include an increased risk of bleeding disorders, kidney failure, and even liver cancer. These potential complications are highlighted in studies emphasizing the broad impact of liver disease on overall health. Reflecting on his past drinking habits, David wishes he had recognized the signs earlier and taken steps to reduce his alcohol intake. He's now starting to understand the importance of moderation and the irreversible consequences of ignoring the body's limits when it comes to alcohol consumption. What else is going on with David? Well, his long history with alcohol has not only affected his liver, but also his heart. Recently, he was additionally diagnosed with an alcohol-related heart condition, a development that took him by surprise. Chronic alcohol consumption can lead to an array of cardiovascular problems, including hypertension, arrhythmias, and cardiomyopathy. Excessive drinking over time significantly increases the risk of heart disease. For David, this means confronting the reality that his years of heavy drinking have had a profound impact on his heart health. One of the first signs of trouble for David was the development of high blood pressure or hypertension. Alcohol can raise blood pressure to unhealthy levels. Over time, this increased pressure strains the heart, leading to a higher risk of heart attack and stroke. David's diagnosis of hypertension was a clear signal that his drinking habits were taking a toll on his cardiovascular system. In addition to hypertension, David also experienced episodes of irregular heartbeat, known as arrhythmias. Alcohol-induced arrhythmias, particularly atrial fibrillation, are common among heavy drinkers. These irregular heartbeats can be unsettling and potentially dangerous, increasing the risk of stroke and other heart-related complications. David's heart problems further escalated to alcoholic cardiomyopathy, a condition where the heart muscles weaken and become unable to pump blood efficiently. This condition is often associated with long-term heavy drinking. For David, alcoholic cardiomyopathy means facing symptoms like fatigue, shortness of breath, and swelling in the legs and abdomen. The realization that his alcohol consumption has led to serious heart issues has been a difficult one for David to accept. He reflects on the years of drinking, acknowledging that what started as a social enjoyment gradually turned into a health hazard. There's often an overlooked link between long-term alcohol use and heart disease, although this knowledge is coming to the forefront as scientists continue to research alcohol's long-term effects. David's condition requires him to make significant lifestyle changes, including reducing his alcohol consumption and managing his heart disease with medication and lifestyle modifications. But to complicate things alongside his liver and heart issues, David's long-standing relationship with alcohol has also led to significant digestive problems. He often experiences discomfort, pain in the abdomen, and indigestion, symptoms characteristic of alcohol-induced gastritis. Gastritis, an inflammation of the stomach lining, is a common condition among chronic drinkers. Studies explain that alcohol can irritate and erode the stomach lining, leading to gastritis. For David, this means dealing with the uncomfortable and often painful consequences of his drinking habits. David's gastritis has also led to a decrease in his appetite and occasional bouts of nausea, further complicating his nutritional intake. Alcohol's effect on the stomach and intestines can disrupt normal digestion and the absorption of nutrients. Research shows how chronic alcohol use can interfere with the digestive system's ability to function effectively, leading to a range of gastrointestinal issues. For David, this translates to a daily struggle with eating and maintaining a balanced diet. Seems like all kinds of foods irritate his digestive system, and his bowel movements are rarely regular. Another concerning aspect for David is the increased risk of gastrointestinal bleeding. Chronic alcohol consumption can lead to the development of esophageal varices and stomach ulcers, which can bleed. This risk is underscored in research showing that bleeding in the gastrointestinal tract is a serious complication of long-term alcohol abuse. For David, this presents a dangerous health risk that requires careful monitoring and medical attention. The long-term impact of alcohol on David's digestive system also has heightened his risk of developing pancreatitis, an inflammation of the pancreas. Turns out that alcohol abuse is a leading cause of chronic pancreatitis, a condition that can lead to severe abdominal pain and digestive problems. For David, the possibility of developing this condition is a source of concern and a strong motivator to change his drinking habits. David's experience with digestive issues has been a wake-up call about the effects of alcohol on the body beyond the more commonly discussed liver and heart conditions. Reflecting on the impact of alcohol on his digestive health, he understands the need for a comprehensive approach to recovery and management. This includes not only reducing alcohol consumption, but also adopting a healthier diet, staying hydrated, and getting regular medical checkups to monitor his condition. David's journey with the digestive issues and gastritis is a testament to the extensive effects of long-term alcohol consumption on the body. His story serves as a reminder of the importance of considering the full spectrum of health impacts associated with alcohol. But what if we look beyond the physical effects? In recent years, David has noticed a worrying change in his cognitive abilities. His memory isn't as sharp as it used to be, and he often struggles with concentration and decision-making. These symptoms point toward cognitive decline, a concern for many who have a history of long-term alcohol consumption. Research suggests a strong link between heavy chronic alcohol use and an increased risk of dementia. For David, this connection raises concerns about the long-term effects his drinking habits might have on his brain health. David's difficulty in remembering recent events and managing complex tasks reflects the findings of research indicating that prolonged exposure to high levels of alcohol can lead to structural and functional changes in the brain, affecting memory, executive function, and problem-solving skills. David recognizes these symptoms in his daily life, particularly in his struggle to stay focused and remember important details. Furthermore, David's long-term alcohol use has been linked to brain atrophy. Alcohol's neurotoxic effects can cause brain cells to shrink and die, leading to significant brain volume reduction over time. For David, understanding that his brain structure might physically be changing due to alcohol is pretty distressing. David already notices signs of cognitive decline, worrying about the potential of these issues worsening. In response to these concerns, David has started to seek medical advice and engage in activities known to support brain health, such as cognitive exercises and a healthier diet. He's also exploring support via groups for individuals reducing their alcohol intake. The Alcoholics Anonymous meetings seem to be helping him stay on track with its health goals and gain support in the process. David attends the meetings and reflects on his journey with alcohol. Soon, he realizes one profound impact on his mental health: his struggle with depression. Research has established a strong link between chronic alcohol use and the development and worsening of mental health issues, especially depression. For David, this connection explains the periods of low mood and lack of motivation he often experienced, especially during times of heavy drinking. David's experience aligns with findings that suggest alcohol can disrupt the balance of neurotransmitters in the brain, chemicals that regulate mood. As a depressant, alcohol can lead to feelings of sadness, lethargy, and hopelessness, exacerbating existing mental health issues and even triggering new ones. David recognizes these symptoms in his own life, understanding now how his drinking has likely played a role in his mental health struggles. He's not alone. Many of the attendees at his AA meetings can relate to the struggle. Yet another aspect of David's experience is the social isolation that often comes with chronic alcohol use. As his drinking became more frequent, he started to withdraw from social activities and lost interest in hobbies that once brought him joy. The social withdrawal is a common consequence of depression and has been linked to alcohol abuse in much scientific research. For David, the combination of alcohol's depressive effects and social isolation created a cycle that further impacted his mental well-being. David also notes how his alcohol use affected his sleep patterns. While he initially used alcohol to help him relax and fall asleep, over time it led to disrupted sleep and insomnia, contributing to feelings of depression. Research highlights the negative impact of alcohol on sleep quality, reinforcing David's realization of the link between his drinking and his deteriorating mental health. In his efforts to manage his depression, David sought help from a mental health professional who emphasized the importance of reducing alcohol consumption as part of his treatment plan. Studies show that reducing alcohol intake can significantly improve depressive symptoms and overall mental health. For David, the advice was a critical step in his journey toward recovery. Through therapy and support groups, David's begun to understand the complex relationship between alcohol and his mental health. He's learning new coping strategies and healthier habits that replace his reliance on alcohol. The process is pretty challenging, but ultimately essential for his recovery and long-term well-being. How else has alcohol wreaked havoc on David's life? Well, his long-term alcohol consumption has not only impacted his liver, heart, and mental health, but it's also increased his risk of developing certain types of cancer. Recent medical checkups have revealed that David is now facing a health scare related to alcohol-related cancer. In fact, research has shown a clear link between chronic alcohol use and an increased risk of cancers, particularly in the liver, esophagus, colon, and breast. For David, this information has been both shocking and eye-opening, as he had never considered cancer as a potential consequence of his drinking habits. One of the most significant risks for David is liver cancer, which can develop after years of chronic liver damage due to alcohol. The liver's role in filtering toxins means that sustained alcohol abuse can lead to mutations in the liver cells, eventually causing cancer. Research emphasizes the direct relationship between alcohol-induced liver cirrhosis and the development of liver cancer. David's diagnosis of liver cirrhosis automatically puts him at a heightened risk of this serious condition. In addition to liver cancer, David's also learned about the increased risk of esophageal cancer due to alcohol. Alcohol consumption, especially when combined with smoking, significantly increases the risk of developing cancer in the esophagus. Studies highlight how alcohol can cause damage to the esophageal lining, leading to cancerous changes over time. David, who occasionally smokes cigarettes while he drinks, now understands the compounded risks those habits pose. David's risk of colon cancer is another concern. Heavy and regular alcohol use is a known risk factor for colon cancer. The mechanisms are complex but involve alcohol's influence on the body's metabolism and its effect on the gut lining. David's years of heavy drinking have exposed him to this additional cancer risk. Furthermore, recent studies have also linked alcohol consumption with an increased risk of breast cancer. While this risk is more commonly associated with women, it has made David more aware of how alcohol can have a wide-ranging effect on different parts of the body, regardless of gender. David's understanding of these risks has helped him make significant changes in his lifestyle, including drastically reducing his alcohol intake. This decision has been difficult but necessary, as David realizes the importance of making health-conscious choices. In today's social culture, where drinking alcohol is often the norm, being mindful about alcohol intake is crucial. The stories of Jake and David illustrate the range of impacts that alcohol can have, from immediate effects to long-term health consequences. If you're interested in cutting back on your intake, here are some practical tips to help monitor and manage alcohol consumption. First, understand your limits. Respecting your personal limit is key to mindful drinking. This varies from person to person and is influenced by factors like body weight, age, and general health. Familiarize yourself with what constitutes a standard drink and try to gauge how much you can handle without feeling the adverse effects. Remember, it's not a competition. Listening to your body is key. A practical way to manage your intake is by keeping track of how many drinks you've had. There are numerous apps available that can help you log your drinks throughout the night. This not only helps you in staying within your limits, but also in understanding your drinking patterns over time. Next, alternate with non-alcoholic beverages, particularly water. This helps in staying hydrated, reducing the overall amount of alcohol consumed, and pacing your drinking throughout the evening. It's a technique that also minimizes the risk of hangovers. Even alternating each beverage with a non-alcoholic one can go a long way to reducing overall intake. Plus, with the rise of craft beverages, there are now more options than ever for low-alcohol or alcohol-free beers, wines, and spirits. These alternatives can be especially useful for social occasions where you want to participate without overindulging. Another good strategy is to set personal rules for your drinking habits. This could be limiting the number of drinks per occasion, choosing certain days as alcohol-free, or deciding not to drink when you're feeling down. Having clear guidelines can help you stay in control of your drinking. You might even wish to share these with a friend who can act as an accountability buddy. Social support is pretty critical in this type of journey. Surround yourself with friends who respect your choice to drink mindfully. Peer pressure can often lead to overdrinking, so having a supportive social circle is important. Don't be afraid to speak up about your decision to cut back on your alcohol. You might inspire others to do the same. And of course, regularly reflect on your relationship with alcohol. Are you drinking more than you'd like? Are there triggers that lead to excessive drinking? Being honest with yourself and being willing to make adjustments is crucial. If you find it challenging to cut back, don't hesitate to seek professional help. Many resources and support groups are available for those looking to change their drinking habits. By following these tips, you can enjoy the social aspects of drinking without compromising your health and well-being. Remember, being mindful of alcohol consumption is a personal journey, and what works for one person might not work for another. The key is to find a balance that suits your lifestyle and health goals. Now check out what happens to your body when you do cocaine. Or watch this instead.